This video was made possible by EA Game Changers.
So guys, this week I've been at EA Play Los Angeles playing with some of the new maps that are coming to Battlefield 5 in Chapter 4, but what we didn't know is that there'd also be a new gun to try out as well. So, what's it like? Well guys, this is Billyeatworld again, and let's find out. Alright, so to kick off, the new weapon is actually a new SMG for the medic class, and it's going to be called the MAB 38. And in real life, this one is actually known as the Automatico Beretta Model 38, which is an Italian SMG, which makes sense considering the theme of Chapter 4 centers around the Greek and Mediterranean campaign. It was first designed in 1938, and it was used by the Kingdom of Italy, as well as Germany and a bunch of other Axis nations. And although it wasn't a widely fielded weapon in World War II, it apparently had a pretty good reputation, and it actually ended up being used by many of the elite Italian army units, and especially their paratroopers. Now, in-game, it seems to mirror the Model 38A, which was the longer early war variant of the gun, which had a cycle rate of around 600 RPM, which in-game puts it in the category somewhere just above the EMP, so in other words, it's more of an all-rounder weapon designed to compete with the assault rifles and that sort of thing. And I've got to say, it didn't seem that hard to control. I mean, it wasn't an MP40, but it definitely was capable of hitting targets out to longer ranges, unlike a lot of the other SMGs. But I think the main thing a lot of people at the event were saying is that it's much better in hipfire, which is a good thing because obviously the damage model of the SMGs just isn't that great beyond close quarters. Now, just before we go too much further, I should point out that in this build, they didn't actually allow us to use Specializations, which means that we didn't really get to see the full potential of the MAB 38. And one of the things I felt that really let me down was the fact that it only had 20 rounds in the mag as standard, which honestly really isn't enough for an SMG beyond hipfire range. Like I said, you can hit targets at longer ranges, but I often found that you'll end up using most of your mag to take out just one enemy, and that's just not enough in the average Conquest server. Because with the way that people spawn on teammates in BF5, if your gun isn't capable of killing at least 2 people in the one mag, well, I mean, you are going to have to deal with getting killed while reloading quite a bit. So obviously this gun is going to live and die by its specializations, right? And that's probably the biggest problem I found that I had with this gun, because sure, it does have extended mags, but even that only buffs it to 30 rounds. And like I spoke about in a recent video I did about SMGs last week, is that they struggle to find things that they do better than assault rifles. And well, a 30-round mag just isn't unfortunately going to cut it. And not just that, but the extended mags on the MAB 38 are over on the hipfire side of the spec tree, which honestly I don't think is right, because it's really at longer ranges where you need those extra bullets to kill. So I mean, hopefully when the gun finally does hit the live game, they just rethink this a little bit and maybe put it over on the longer range side, or at least give it a few more extra rounds in that extended mag to compensate for the fact that it just isn't that good at long range. Now, to finish up, that kind of brings me to a more general point about the medic weapons that I was thinking about this week, which is that, like I said, they really don't do a lot of stuff different from, for example, the assault rifles. And I feel that's kind of what lets the medic class down in this game, because traditionally the SMGs have been the king of close quarters, and they're just not that great in Battlefield 5. It's really only the Suomi and the Thompson that have that distinct advantage in close quarters, like, for example, over the STG-15, which honestly I think is probably one of the best all-round guns in the game. And that advantage is literally only out to 10 meters. So in other words, if you're not hip-firing with an SMG, and this is something you might want to remember when you're actually in-game, you're probably going to be at a serious time-to-kill disadvantage. Now, I've had this conversation a fair bit this week, and look, most people have been saying, you know, it's probably because the medic pouches are just so overpowered. And I mean, sure, that's probably right, but that still doesn't make the gunplay of the SMGs any more fun, and I still feel like they really need a niche that they don't kind of have right now. And I'm not saying they need to buff them in close quarters to give them that niche, but what I would like to see is maybe a nerf across the board to the hipfire of the other weapon classes, so that medics at least have that one distinct edge. And like I said, maybe they need to just think a little bit more about how the spec trees work, or at least buff the extended mags options, because, you know, I'm willing to overlook a lot of things if I've got 40 or 50 rounds in the mag to play with. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this video. So as always, please make sure you let me know what you think about the MAB 38 in the comment section down below. And obviously, just bear in mind that all of the stats I have mentioned in this video are work in progress, so you probably can expect that the gun may change a little bit when it finally does hit the live game. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of my videos. And also don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later, and have a good one.